Biden deferred so frequently to lawmakers that much of the conversation didn't include him. Some people who attended the meeting recalled when questions came directly to him, he would turn to staffers, they said. In other words, other people are running this White House, not Joe Biden. So we'll start with the Wall Street Journal with this stunning and revealing headline: behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. Behind closed doors, he's having a little trouble. Everything you see out front, his public appearances, A-OK. He's Johnny on the spot. Couldn't be sharper. But behind closed doors, that's where you have to worry. We are in so much trouble. Now, let's just be clear here. Up until this article, we've heard the exact opposite from the propaganda press, right? We've heard, oh, sure, he's got some slip-ups. He still has a stutter. He's been struggling with it since he's been a child. So he might have a couple of moments in the public spotlight that you're just too stupid to really understand how brilliant he is. But behind closed doors, this guy nails it. We've had Democrats after Robert Hur, who, by the way, was the special prosecutor who investigated Joe Biden's illegal handling of classified documents. And make no mistake, there was illegal handling of classified documents. Robert Hur just didn't press charges because he's so mentally incompetent. He is not competent to stand trial. So Robert Hur said, we're not going to press charges, even though he broke the law. That's what his report said. And ever since then, we've had this parade of Democrats who say, I don't know what he's talking about. He couldn't be sharper. Behind closed doors, you should hear him. He can recite the Magna Carta. He recites the entire Constitution off the top of his head. He's playing 4D chess behind closed doors. So I don't know what they're talking about, right? And now here's the Wall Street Journal. Participants in meetings said the 81-year-old president performed poorly at times. The White House said Biden is sharp and his critics are playing partisan politics. Well, let's get to some of the charges in this article. When President Biden met with congressional leaders in the West Wing in January to negotiate a Ukraine funding deal, he spoke so softly at times that some participants struggled to hear him. This is in the Oval Office. It's not a huge room. This is according to 5 people familiar with the meeting. He read from notes to make obvious points, paused for extended periods, and sometimes closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wondered whether he had tuned out. In other words, the exact same Joe Biden we see every day, right? This whole speaking softly thing, which is a sign of deteriorating health, okay? If you don't have the power and lung capacity or the use of your vocal cords, if you meet anybody who has gotten to such a stage where they're in the final moments of life, they are unable to speak well. That's why, if you ever see when he does press appearances now, they've got the microphones on the presidential podium, right? It's the same podium that they use all the time with the presidential seal, and it's got 2 microphones. But he always has this like karaoke mic that he carries around with him. Have you ever noticed this? And he carries it around, and he walks around with it, and he keeps the microphone like this close. He keeps the microphone this close to his mouth so that when he says anything, people can hear it. It's like he's eating the microphone. It's like he's treating the microphone like some 14-year-old girl that he's standing behind during a swearing in of somebody in the Senate. He wants to get his mouth as close as possible so he can smell it. Right? You know what I'm talking about. He does this all the time. It's like karaoke night. He's going to break out, with Dancing Queen or something while he's doing a press appearance. And now without the microphone, without the PA system, when he's just sitting in the Oval Office negotiating for funding for Ukraine, they can't hear a damn word he's saying. What are they going to do? Like install the karaoke machine in the Oval Office? Oh, yeah, this goes all the way back to Roosevelt. He had this. Oh, man, would he party? He'd sing some Neil Diamond. Well, some Andrews Sisters back then during World War II. Oh, no, it's a historic karaoke machine. It's not new or anything. We haven't installed it because of this feeble old man. The White House kept close tabs on some of the Wall Street Journal's interviews with Democratic lawmakers. After the offices of several Democrats shared with the White House either a recording of an interview or details about what was asked, some of those lawmakers spoke to the Journal a second time and once again emphasized Biden's strengths. Let me translate that for you. After Democrat lawmakers on the House alerted the White House that they're participating in this Wall Street Journal article and revealed that the Wall Street Journal was asking about how old he was, the White House said, you better call them back and tell him he's great. You better call them back right now and get on the record that you were wrong. Whatever you told them was wrong. You'll tell them this, damn it. Gregory Meeks, New York Democrat, said, they just, said that I should give you a call back. I want to give you a call back. What they're asking if he's mentally incompetent, what did you tell him? Oh, God, you didn't tell him the truth. Did you call him back? The president moved so slowly around the cabinet room to greet the nearly 24 congressional leaders that it took about 10 minutes for the meeting to begin. Some people who attended recalled. Biden started the meeting reading from notes to make broad points about the need to give money to Ukraine, which struck several participants as odd, given that the lawmakers present already generally agreed that more funds were needed. Some attendees had trouble hearing him. Biden deferred so frequently to lawmakers that much of the conversation didn't include him. Some people who attended the meeting recalled when questions came directly to him, he would turn to staffers, they said. In other words, other people are running this White House, not Joe Biden. Mr. President, you are helping Vladimir Putin, Johnson told the president. This is House Speaker Mike Johnson, according to one of the people briefed on the exchange. Biden said that wasn't true and that the new policy was only a study, according to several people familiar with Johnson's version of what happened. Johnson was dismayed that Biden appeared to have forgotten details of his own policies. Right. So in other words, Speaker Mike Johnson was like, listen, this thing that you're doing now is helping Putin. And Biden says, no, we're not. That's just a study. And everyone in the room and everyone at the cabinet, everyone working for the staff of the White House are like, who's going to tell him it's not a study? Who's going to tell him that this is actually our policy right now? Johnson knew. Everyone in the room knew, except the president of the United States. More from this article. Even McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, and other lawmakers met with the president the next day. McCarthy said Biden lacked the spontaneity he had projected on the plane. He was going back to all the old stuff that he had been doing for a long time, McCarthy said. And he was shocked when I'd say, no, Mr. President, we talked about that meetings ago. We're done with that. No, Grandpa, you've already told us that story. Try to keep up. The president spoke so softly and with such little enunciation. We see this all the time. Again, what's this behind closed doors crap? This is the guy we see every single day in front of us. That attendees said they struggled to hear what he was saying. People familiar with the meeting said he told the same story more than once about his experience with the DuPont company during his time as a Delaware senator, one of the people said. So you can barely hear him. He slurs his speech. It doesn't seem like he knows what's going on. He doesn't recall from one day or the other a story that he's already told people. And he's constantly telling stories about when he was a senator. Do you know why he's constantly telling stories about when he was a senator? Because he thinks he's still a senator. His brain doesn't work. Today's the 80th anniversary of D-Day, right? And over in Normandy, we've got like 110-year-olds who participated in the landing on Omaha Beach, and they've got more going on right now than Joe Biden does. Well, the article hit late last night, and boy, oh boy, did the bat signal go out. Red sirens blaring everywhere. They had to do damage control. So who'd they call? Oh, their old standbys, their go-tos, the people they can count on more than anyone else, Joe and Mika.
Kevin McCarthy.
By the way, they also
quoted
Mike Johnson, people around Mike Johnson, and admit that this was basically House Republicans whacking.
Why didn't they just ask Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Well, exactly. Why did? Yeah, they could have.
And Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, it's really shocking, especially when you see what Kevin McCarthy has said repeatedly, publicly, and behind the scenes about Biden on those same days when they were negotiating.
The strong feelings you're seeing about this article comes also because
I'll pause right there because, well, it's almost all right. I'll let it run quickly.
Context of this race and these two candidates, it's interesting. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, Mika always brings extra info to the table. Joe Scarborough, both of them saying, oh, this is media bias. Oh, they only interviewed Republicans who hate him already. So, of course, that's what you're going to say. As you saw, of course, there were Democrats who were on the record about this, and then the White House made them call them back to add to the record. So they did talk to Democrats as well. Kevin McCarthy at the time said very nice things about Joe Biden's performance. Yeah, because Kevin McCarthy at the time was Speaker of the House, and he was trying to play nice. He was trying to be diplomatic, and he didn't want to pee in the well while they're trying to negotiate some deal. And which, by the way, is a lesson to every Republican for playing nice and trying to work with Democrats, because this is how they'll treat you afterwards when you come back and say, let me tell you the truth now. Honestly, this guy's lost it. And Joe Scarborough runs down your throat and tries to rip your heart out. Because there's no winning with these people. There's no winning at all. The damage control sirens made it all the way to this guy, John Favreau. Favreau was like a political operative for Barack Obama. What was he, like a political strategist? He does a podcast now, right? Yeah, Pod Save America. He used to work with Obama and Biden. He's a Democrat operative, right? Think George Stephanopoulos, but without the fancy ABC News contract. But he's an operative. He just does politics. He carries water for the Democrats. That's his job. So he took to Twitter and said, well, that's good to hear. And he highlighted this article where the quote was, in on-the-record interviews, 7 GOP senators who've met with Biden lately described him as cogent and well-versed on the issues they discuss. See? And there's the article. It's from Politico. MAGA World says Biden's lost it. Republican senators disagree. In fact, here, let's take a look at that article because, listen, this is really, oh, look, I got a shoe ad too. I love it when that happens. I've been looking for shoes. I'm not going to lie. This is real. And now I got to say for John Favreau, this is a really good counterpunch. Wall Street Journal says all these Republicans say that behind closed doors, Joe Biden has lost it. But here, Republican senators disagree. 7 GOP senators who've met with Biden lately describe him as cogent and well-versed on the issues they discuss. Well, there you go. All right, listen, we're fair and balanced here. We want to give everybody equal time. We're an open book. We're transparent, unlike Joe and Mika. So let's take a look at this article. This is great. So it's by Olivia Beavers. There you go. And it's March 26, 2021. Okay, and then I'm sorry. It's March 26, 2021. John Favreau, trying to do damage control for Joe Biden, tweeted it out this morning, June 2024, tweeted out an article from over 3 years ago. Everything's fine in the White House. What are you guys talking about? Everything's absolutely fine. This is when the narrator does the voiceover and says, no, actually, everything is not fine. Everything's not fine at all.